the seating up just a little bit. Maybe Johanna, would you mind jumping over here? Yeah,
okay.
No worries. Marcos,
Okay.
Snehal. Yeah,
Perfect.
wonderful. Awesome.
Sorry for that.
No worries. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before we get going, I have a question. How many folks here today have opened AR Studio?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, our conversation today is very much for you and for everyone out there who's watching who has also been a part of our Spark developer and creator community. All right. We are building towards a future in which augmented reality has enabled a multi-dimensional world full of rich textures, enabling information, entertainment, and utility to be delivered to people in unprecedented ways with unprecedented fidelity. As a technology, AR allows us to collapse time and space, to bring anything, anywhere, at any time. Today, I'm honored to sit on the stage with some of the creators who are helping us forge this future. The Spark AR technology platform is a community of creators who are focused on realizing this future together with us. You all on the stage and out there represent a broad spectrum of creator types, a diverse group from creative professionals to artists to multimedia producers who are making the content that is bringing the world along into the future. So let's make some introductions. I'm esteemedly honored to share the stage with Johanna Joskowska, who you've heard spoken about a few times this morning. Johanna is a digital creator from Berlin who has been one of the first entrants into the Spark beta program on Instagram. And you've all seen a few shots of the tremendously successful and exciting AR experiences that she's made over the last many months. And we're looking forward to hearing some of Johanna's thoughts in person. Also, very, very pleased to be joined by Tomás Pase. Tomás is a multimedia artist hailing from Buenos Aires. And similarly, Tomás has been a part of the Instagram beta program for Spark and has brought his creative talents to the world in ways that were very frankly unexpected by us and clearly by the many millions of people who are experiencing your work as well. Cool. We also are joined by Marcos Trenca from the agency More Than Real, based in Brazil. Marcos will talk to us about all of the work that he and the team have been doing to develop AR content for a broad spectrum of clients throughout the region and globally. We're looking forward to hearing more about that. And finally, we have Snehal Dhruv, who's joining us from Superfan AI. And you will recall that Mark showed a video showing Snehal's journey, or during the keynote we saw a video showcasing your journey. And we'll talk more about it, but we're quite excited with the growth that Snehal has seen in taking a shop that's dedicated to AR content creation all the way from nothing into a vibrant business. Cool. All right. Johanna, we'll start with you. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Awesome. Well, as we've heard about a few times today, and I'm sure folks in the audience are probably aware, one of your most popular effects, Beauty 3000, I think, was it your first?
It wasn't the first.
Wasn't the first, one of the first. It's enabled many millions of people to paint their face with a coat of futurism. Mm-hmm. In a piece that ID Magazine wrote about you and your journey with Spark, they noted that what your work has done, and Beauty 3000 being a great example of this, is provided a layer of unconventionality to this nascent augmented reality space, where a lot of the content previously had been focused on enabling people to express themselves in kind of cute and funny ways.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your influences and what has inspired you to take the very opinionated point of view that you have with your creativity.
Yeah, so there is many things that inspires me. One of them is like cinema, photography, also science fiction movies, and like developing AR for Instagram, you need to understand what the platform Instagram is made for also. And the thing that I'm very interested in is like fashion and beauty also. And like what we see usually like on Instagram, and it's a big audience like fashion and beauty. So it's a lot of photographers' work. And the work of the photographer is to stage a model. And how to stage a model is to play around with light. So that was more or less my approach. This is what I like to do with AR the most, is like just to play around with like a light and shadow on the face mesh. And the more I was creating with this lights on the space that like unlight the face, I had to play around with this plastic kind of effect on the face mesh. And the first comment from the user was like, my skin looks so smooth, this is weird, I really like it. And the more I was experimenting with it, the more I was like listening from the feedback from the users, the more I was like, okay, like actually the society today is really interested with this plastic kind of like look. And it's a bit weird also and unconventional. We know that like beauty is a big thing, a big topic in AR. But beauty doesn't mean makeup for me. And like the way the user use Instagram today is about like sharing their life. So people already wear makeup. So why to put makeup on makeup? Also, like for example, this plasticish kind of effect is something that like a lot of artists already experimented with, like for example Seb Janiak, which is a Polish photographer that like experimented a lot with this kind of aesthetics. And I didn't know his work before, I knew his work after, but it's like still very interesting, and it shows that like many people experiment already with this kind of aesthetics. But what you can do only on social media, it's just like scroll, double tap, scroll, double tap, but you can't really like be the model yourself. And like with AR, it's a bit what I try to do, like just like, okay, you can try to have this on your face. And it's also like talking about the society today regarding beauty and like this like perfect, smooth kind of thing. Plastic means also like the shape. We're talking about plastic surgery, and like people like to like change their nose or like change the size of their face, and I don't think like this is the real beauty. And the face mesh, what is so powerful with the face mesh is that like it just adapts to your face. So I think it's very interesting because you can still see yourself through that. I think that's why it's so powerful. There is many things. I'm interested with many, many different things. But yeah.
Wonderful. I want to pick up some of those thoughts on the face as canvas and what that has meant to you. Thank you, team. Great. Tomas, we've had an opportunity to spend some time getting to know one another, and I'll age myself here a little bit, but you're what in previous eras we might have referred to as a Renaissance man. You're an illustrator, a graphic artist, photographer, a rapper, and now an AR influencer. Having been involved in so many different modes of artistic expression, talk to us about AR as a medium and how it's presented itself to you as a way to express your artistic interests.
Yes, so I've been training myself since I was a kid in art. Like I've been expressing myself a lot. I've been painting, I've been drawing, I've been creating a lot of stuff. So when I hopped into Spark, I felt that I had like this enormous field to express myself with all these previous knowledges I had. So AR is just a great platform to. This is just starting, you know. Like it's an enormous field, and these filters are just the beginning.
Are you? We're taking a look at one of your pieces
Yes.
here, Thomas. Talk to us a little bit about the process that you've employed in creating. So much of what we're seeing here is actually hand drawn by you.
Yes, these ones are drawn in this filter. It's called YAM, but my other filters are also done like directly in Photoshop. Like I just draw there based on the image of the face. So yes, I just explore Spark. I don't just come up with a previous idea to the project. Mainly, I just love to lose myself and look for cool stuff. I have many filters that have many like iterations that you just tap and things appear. Maybe they don't have like something in common, but I love to create like a aesthetic out of these many different things. And I love how people really love this. Like, I love AR objects, but nowadays in Instagram, I've been finding out that like mainly people love the face as a canvas, as you told. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to explore, like games and audio. It's just very interesting, and people really like it. Like,
Has there been anything that has surprised you, either one of you, about the way that people are using your creations?
Yes, lots of stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy.
All the remixes they do, like maybe they take a photo with a filter and then they do a like post process.
Yes.
That's amazing. Like people get super creative with the filters that one created. Like, it's amazing.
And the feedback from the user. Some people said that they felt beautiful.
Yes.
And this is great.
Yes, they
because
see that.
feeling beautiful makes you feel comfortable and confident, and it's helping you.
Yes.
And today, like on social media, you have to like show yourself in the best light, and people like they can like free themselves and like totally express themselves, and like I don't know, they steal themselves.
Yes.
But they feel beautiful, so they express themselves like in a more free and open way. It's really interesting.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Marcos, the story of More Than Real is very, very close to our hearts. Your company was created, literally from the ground up with the express purpose of making AR content for Spark. And thank you very much. We're quite grateful. You've been making AR content for clients in Brazil and throughout Latin America since the platform opened in 2017. Some of your work has included the artist Anitta, the Lollapalooza Music Festival, Coca-Cola. So a real wide spectrum of work that you and the team have participated in. Talk to us about the process of building a business around AR.
Yeah, actually, when we started researching about it, we saw like, it was back in 2016 when we started developing and researching about the technology, about AR as a whole, So, and always we saw like the possible clients and doing the research that people say, okay, but we need to download an app to do it. And it was like crazy because we saw that there was a huge opportunity to create things, but it was hard to put the content for people. When Mark announced it, the Camera Effects platform, then for us was like, oh my God, now we have like billion people with a device and a platform under your pocket, and we just need to create a content, you know. So we see like a very big opportunity. And then I talk with my partners, okay, we need to go to Facebook, we need to be part of this beta program. And the guys, Vox, they are my partner, and Modern Real, they already had contact with Facebook. And we got the opportunity to test the Spark since the beginning. And for us was like, okay, we have everything we need. Now we just need to work, to focus, and to do it. And it was crazy because we got the first opportunity in a festival there in Brazil in 2017, in September. Rock in Rio is a huge festival. And they were like, okay, we want to have like 4 filters. And it's all very new for us we spent a couple of months after to start the beta using the platform and going deep in the code and understanding how things works, but we did it. And that was very important because at that time we felt like, okay, the guys from Facebook, they are like feeling that we can deliver it. And we used to say that we got at that moment like the best commercial partner we would have because CPs started to talk with clients there in Brazil. You know, people from Facebook start to talk, okay, there is a company here doing this kind of stuff. And then for us was, whoa, let's go for it. So, and then there was a second very special moment for us, and it was the hackathon in London, because...
For those who aren't aware, this is a Spark hackathon
yes.
that was hosted in London last year.
Yes. And it was crazy because we received the invitation to be part of to go there, to join the guys there in London. And for us was like, oh my God, we'll be with the product managers, with the engineers, creative shop, all the guys from Facebook, a lot of creators all around the world. It's like amazing to be there. But the thing is, like, my team won the hackathon. And it was completely unexpected thing, you know. Yeah. And at that time, that same thing that happened in Brazil started to propagate to other countries. So we were doing a lot of stuff there in Brazil. And then, because the hackathon, people in Latin America, other countries heard about us. And then on Europe. And like, we did projects for Europe, we are doing projects for US and other countries. And I think that opportunity brought some confidence. I don't know, it's like everything is so new, you know? The technology is so new. And there is a lot of opportunity for everybody here, I'm quite sure, because we receive more emails asking for quotes than we can deliver a project.
That's a very good note. I'd like to pick up on that with you, Snehal, because I understand that demand where you're from in India is incredibly strong right now. Yes. Some of your earliest successes at Superfan AI with AR were in service of the entertainment industry, in particular Bollywood film studios, Bollywood studios. Talk to us a little bit about how those clients in particular have seen AR as a way to extend their content and media that was created initially with another medium in mind, and giving that content into the hands of people and allowing them to express themselves with it.
Sure. So movie as a sector, like Bollywood movies, right? So one of the challenges they always had, they would work 3 to 4 months just preparing content during the main marketing period. And there's lots of money, resources put behind that. But here came an opportunity where if they do it right, there would be enough people creating stories, creating content, which they don't have to pay for or plan for, and can be of great value. And that's where kind of the opportunity came across when we were working with few clients. They said, hey, what's new? And that's one of the good things working with that kind of a sector, that they always are looking for what's new. And here we had that we experimented a few, hey, there's something from Facebook. You're going to get an existing audience to play with. This is an easy tool which we can create in a couple of hours or a couple of days or a couple of months, depending upon what we want to do. And we created like a quick mock to showcase, and they really loved it. They said, hey, right now it's all about consuming a content and what they were preparing for. In this case, it's the first time that people want to be part of this content as well. And it's immersive, it's inclusive, and it's really exciting for the folks because now they can be like a superhero, like be a common man, or have a different transportation to a different world using these effects. And that's where everything kind of started. Though we did have a rocky start at the first filter that we did, and being in India with the restrictive force and the awareness is like a big challenge as well. While to different other markets, or especially US, people are more hands-on, that they are fine with experimenting, but in India, it's more hand-holding that experience as well. So with that, there were limited resources to work for, and very few people who understand the end objective. So we had to kind of experiment, fail, but eventually like a big studio came on board and they said, hey, let's do it. It's fine, we'll fail, but we learn a lot and we have like X number of content coming for the year, and it's a perfect level ground to kind of test it out.
Yes.
And that actually worked for us. All the learning brought into that one thing almost like a year back when we deployed it, and that's where kind of everything kicked off like in a big way, and kind of the team grew from there on.
Interesting. So this notion of experimentation seems really important to everyone. I mean, we've spoken a little bit about that from the artistic standpoint, and of course in doing work for commercial clients as well. Talk to us about how you've used Spark to experiment. Is it in the types of use cases that you have created? Is it in the way that you've used the tools? What has the role of experimentation been in your work?
On my side, it's a lot of experimentation. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a developer. I just like to use this tool and like to try things, break things, try again, and then sometimes it's getting a bit messy, and sometimes there is like bad surprises, but often there is like good surprises, and then the work is about like finding the good surprises and remove everything which is like unnecessary.
Can you give us an example of a good surprise in one of your effects? On the spot, that's okay, you can come back.
It's mostly like where to place the lights and like, or playing with the blending modes, and then like superposing different blending modes or different like material. I play a lot with the materials. Mm-hmm. Like I like to change them and like to use them like in a way like it's not supposed to. Yeah. And when it's not supposed to, then like you're like, oh wow, this is interesting.
There's something cool there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on experimentation in your workflow?
In my case, with the patch editor, like I experiment a lot with this like kind of tabs. Like this, I love the idea of creating a filter in which the user can like dive into and use like many times. So maybe when I start exploring, I just do a big mess, and with the patch editor and connect lots of stuff that my computer can process. But then I need to make it work on lower performing phones.
Sure. So
then the optimization starts, and I need to reduce all this mess and experimentation into a simpler thing.
Sometimes in the commercial context, there's less room for experimentation, of course. How do you all manage to continue to experiment and be creative at your shops while balancing the demands of a commercial client?
Sure. So because it's a paid client, one of the expectation is, hey, brand should be visible and big, right? So that means you have less room to kind of place the right objects and bring the right creativity out there. But then it's also important because they expect you are an expert, which sometimes you're not because you're still experimenting and learning things. But it's to try to convince them, hey, it's not about seeing your brand big, but it's making sure the content or the right message coming out. And that's where, like one of the filters where we were contemplating on, hey, it should be generic use for like a guy and a girl, because one of the filters that worked for us, but was more of for guys like a beard and everything coming on, and where girls commented and said, hey, it's not for me, I would never post anything like that, but I like it, what else you've got? And that's where kind of the small moment where, hey, why not make it for generic use and not gender specific? And then bringing in a factor that, hey, there is a event happening which could be relatable. So we had Asian Games going on that point in time, and this movie was based on sports, and the movie name was Gold, right? So it's a gold medal. And what we thought, hey, it's a good moment to kind of experiment. If a current event happening and the movie at the same time, what would be that leverage? And that trade-off worked, where we didn't have any movie branding on there. It was a gold medal that somebody would wear. The gold medal itself had little branding or visibility, but it was not right in the face. Yeah. And it actually got picked up during Asian Games, and people were saying, hey, I gave gold to my niece, or I gave gold, or he's more deserving for this gold, or something like that. So using these small experiments and trying to convince them is always a challenge. Yes. But over time, if you're able to kind of validate and do these small experiments to kind of say what works, what doesn't, and that's where kind of win that over. But
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I would say that there is experimentation, but we have a focus because sometimes we got a briefing. We know that we need to reach some point, and we need to find a way to do it. So I would say we had this experience we did to customize a car, for example. So you have the car just in front of you. The users could change the color and this kind of stuff. But it was inside a chatbot on Messenger. And at some point, the guys, the company would like to take the color that the user set and give it back to Messenger, and it's impossible to do, So when we see this kind of scenario, we need to experiment. And we found a solution, actually, because we could integrate the experience inside the chatbot, and we create both two server sides, one for the AR experience, one for the chatbot experience. And we changed information on the background. So when the user closes the experience, the car, the chatbot knows the color of the car, So this is the kind of experimentation that we need to do. And this experimentation is because, they want to reach this point. They want to have this feature on the experience. So we need to find ways to do it,
Yeah, wonderful. Tomas, you spoke about Patch Editor and the capabilities there. I'm curious, across the panel, are there any other features within Spark AR Studio that you have found particularly meaningful in your work?
To start, yes, the patch editor is amazing, just to lose yourself, but also the JS bridging to optimize this maybe the experimentation takes part of 50% of the time, but then you have to optimize all this big thing, and JS is really helpful to do that. If you would like to experiment with JS only, that would be very hard because I don't know, in the patch editor, connecting nodes is much easier and intuitive. You can just lose yourself, and in my case, I feel like I'm flying when I'm in the patch editor.
And you were a developer previously, or had development experience prior to Spark?
Yes, in JS as a web developer, but I used to use Maximus P also.
I see.
With Ableton and Icon, yes.
And Johanna, as someone who doesn't have development experience, yet has found it possible to express yourself creatively with Spark, what are the features that you've most leaned on?
Yeah, for me it's much more simple. I just really like the face mesh itself. I find it's fascinating how it adapts itself to the face of the user. Whatever the shape and your face is, it just adapts amazingly. And the lights, just these two elements, for me it's just a huge playground where there's so many things to do. Also, I use the patch editor, but in a really simple way, and I always try to keep things as simple as possible, but it's often the most hard work.
Yes. Sure.
I think segmentation for us, hands down.
Yes.
Because we have to make, a client prefers, hey, I want to place this particular user, feel a content or be part of the content. So that plays like crucial role. And once it has started to roll out, everybody is like, hey, I want to put them on a red carpet. I want to put them sitting on like top of a Mount Everest or something else. So I think that's a very fun kind of a feature that is there. And our clients have experimented left, right, center with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with Dan.
Yeah.
But I would add custom shaders. I believe is very important. PBRs as well to bring realism to the scenes. And for us, it is very important networking module. We like to monitor the behavior of the user inside the AR experience. So we like create functions to understand which action the user is doing. Like he's open his mouth, get the timestamp right to the server just to get more data and metrics, so we can provide more information to our clients to say, okay, this is working good, this is not, so networking is very, very good. And it was very engaging when we did Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola's World Cup, it was a mask on the World Cup. And to promote some camps they did. And we create the filter, but we also put, for example, the real-time scoreboard of the game. So if this kind of integration, it's cool, because in the middle of the game, if the user opens it to like just say go, he will see like 2 Brazil, 1. Sorry guys, I just said Brazil. But this kind of networking, it was amazing to have for us. It's very, very important. But all of the features, wow, they are awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for that. I'd like to talk a little bit about community. And the Spark creator community, of course, is the beating heart of Spark and Facebook's interests in AR. We hold these relationships quite dearly. Can you share a little bit about the role that the community has played for each of you and the folks that you work with?
Yeah, for me, at the beginning, so there is this group, Spark AR community, where everybody like sharing everything.
Woo! Let's give a round of applause for the community, for sure.
I think at the beginning I was like, this technology is so new, and like usually when you're using a software like this, there is like a forum or like a documentation online where you can like learn and find everything, but there wasn't in this case. And I was like, okay, maybe that's weird, like where can I like find something? But instead there is this community that is growing, and within this community there is like the engineers, the people that working in Spark, like from the Facebook side, the creators, developers, curious people, and like you just have to ask something or share your work, and then like everybody's like replying, and there is this interesting back and forth communication from the both sides. Yes. We feel that like the creators as the engineers are like just helping each other to make the platform grow.
Yes.
So you feel that like you also like by reporting a bug or by asking, hey, this worked like this, a bit weird, then like the next update you realize that like the feature is implemented, or there is like the bug isn't there anymore. Yeah. So you feel like, okay, what I'm doing is also like helping the software itself to grow, and it's very valuable.
That's wonderful, thank you. Any other thoughts on the community?
Sure. So I think one of the sentiment that truly comes with is you're not alone, right? That you're not the only one dumb out there. No question is dumb. Everybody's ready to jump in. And it's not about, like, it's a stupid question, just ask, right? There would be somebody else who might be feeling that same thing or is not vocal enough, and you will find enough people to kind of jump on and help you on. And I think there are a couple of great folks that have been part of the company for more than 18 months, and guys like Mark, who was on last year's panel, to multiple others. You just ask these questions, they're always ready to help. They'll even post a quick tutorial or like a screenshot of the patch editor to say, hey, this is how it's going to work. And I think that's phenomenal, right? And it doesn't even take in like days to get your response. It's pretty much there. If you put on the right time zone, if Mark is awake, he's going to put it. Or just make sure you know who responds the most, and you'll kind of get your answer right then and there. So
Absolutely.
I think that's great power to have.
Wonderful. Yes, that the way that the community supports itself is really fantastic to see. Guys, any closing thoughts on the role of the community?
Yes. When I started using Spark, as Shona said, like Google has like kind of nothing of information about Spark, YouTube neither. So the main thing was the community. I think the website of Spark also presents you the community because it's a big deal. All the questions you may ask yourself at first are there. And yeah, the support from everyone there is amazing. At first I was super new to this kind of 3D software, but all these first, I don't know, posts asking maybe silly questions were like very fast answered. Then I started to realize that if I search the group, there's this whole database of information and everything is there. And if there's a question that isn't there, like if you ask it, you're contributing to have it like added on the database. So the community is amazing, amazing people, like all the people that are here.
Many of the folks here.
Yes, like Joanna also, like I met her online, but now I'm seeing her and it's just amazing. Yeah.
In the real world.
In the real world.
I just would like to add something. It's also good for inspiration.
Great.
I mean, we see what the guys are doing. You know, it's like there is all the technical side, and it's true all the time. We're like go there to see how the guys are solving this problem or that. But it's very good to see how the creativity is evolving. You know, like what the guys are doing. Well, we can find the making of sometimes of the ideas that we will see later on Joanna Instagram, for example. You know, it's like it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, this has been really wonderful. Johanna, Tomas, Marcos, Snehal, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your expertise today. And a deep, heart-filled bow of gratitude to the entire Spark AR community. You're a vast and vibrant community of creative professionals, artists, developers, and now social influencers who are helping us establish for the world what the role of augmented reality will be in our lives. And we're incredibly indebted to you. Have a great F8, and we'll see you next year.
Yay.
Thank you.